Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show with Shirley Yance, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, all, and welcome to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. I am so glad that you found me today. I am Shirley, a clinical hypnotherapist, coach, and mental health advocate here in Southern California. And I've been a glitter and rainbow girl going way, way, way back. And, it's perfect for me. My specialty is working with the LGBTQIA community, BDSM community, kink community, anyone that doesn't feel like that they fit in that nice traditional sense. So I wouldn't have it any other way. This is me. This is what I do. So I love it. My hope is that we get to have a little fun. You get a little inspiration, bring a smile to your face, and maybe a little giggle. Who knows? So we're going to get this show going the way we know that we always get this show going. So make sure that you're in a safe place. That means you're not driving. That means you're not doing anything that needs 100% attention. Just nice, safe, you in a chair or walking, whichever. Just make sure you're in a safe place, please. So I want you to take a deep breath. And exhale with a smile. Oh my God, that was great. So now, part two, which is my personal favorite. So everybody, come on, let's wiggle your toes, wiggle those toes. Inside your shoes, outside of your shoes, don't really care. I'm an outside of your shoes kind of girl, but play it how you want to. Next thing, wiggle your butt. Come on, wiggle that butt. You can see me wiggling my butt. Squeeze in the cheeks, wiggle the butt, scrunch, go for it. Because you know what? I have never, ever dealt with somebody, met somebody that can do that or even ask another person to do that without laughing. So that to me is like the perfect thing. So now this last little thing that we're going to do is we're going to take another big inhale. And this time as we exhale, I want you to say something like, I got this. It's going to be okay. No big deal. Just some short affirmation to keep you going. We all need those all the time. So, and if you got an extra minute, roll your neck. Your neck needs to be rolled. It's not going to fall off. I promise. So in this short amount of time, you have now loosened your muscles. Loosened your nose. Wow. Loosened your muscles from your toes all the way up your legs. You've loosened that lower back, those shoulders, that neck. And, you might have actually smiled a little bit while you were wiggling your butt. I love this. So also want to remind everybody, if you like the show, which I really hope you do, I would love for you to be a Patreon member. My Patreon is real easy. It's Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. Yeah, I think there's a show on the end of that. But if not, just Hypno Fairy Godmother. I'm the only one, so that makes life so much easier. Anything helps, cup of coffee. Just we want to keep the show going, and it's all about you. So let's do this. So I am so glad that you found me today, because we're going to cover a special little section of the Weeble Kung Fu, which is ways of becoming the person that you wish you would have had growing up, or just being a better you, a more authentic you, feeling like you're in control. And that's the way it should always be. So I hope you had a great weekend. Let's get this thing going. At last, finally, we can see a really small light at the end of the tunnel of this pandemic. There's a vaccine going out, and, which is fabulous, but we know that it's going to take months and months for everyone to get vaccinated. So being safe is still in order. And being crazy during the holidays is definitely a no. We are dealing with right now, the biggest thing is the people that didn't listen and went and played over Thanksgiving. So let's not do this again. But today, I want to talk about dealing with the pandemic. If you have chronic illnesses, I know. And a chronic illness is a person that has a long term illness, like an autoimmune disease, any type of illness that isn't short term. So it either keeps coming back or it's just with you all the time. And this topic actually means a lot to me because I am one of those people with an autoimmune disease. And there are things that we can do to keep ourselves going. Yes, there is. So not only does it make, your everyday life a little bit harder, but, and think about all that we're going through and everything that they keep telling you to do, and yes, we wear masks and yes, we do other things, but, with this pandemic, it has not only made everyday life harder, but when you have a chronic illness, think about having just chronic pain or being nauseous, having migraine every morning, or never knowing what part of your body is actually going to work when you wake up. That's my personal favorite. So, if you have things like diabetes, kidney disease, lupus, arthritis, these are just common ones. There's a whole lot more. Could spend an hour just listing things that fit into this. And with hospitals being full of COVID patients, what do we do if you need to have a transfusion of some sort? Or other treatments that you need to check in with your doctor all the time and they're closed. These are things that most people never really have to think about. So, take all of that, roll it up, and now add being secluded or quarantined. Your mental health can take a blow, and we don't want that to happen. So, I always tell everybody it's important to take care of themselves, but what does that mean? I mean, it can be far more interesting for those with chronic illnesses. And since many of these illnesses are internal ones, people will look at you and just go, you know what, you look fine. You look great. I don't understand what the problem is. If only they could see what you're going through on the inside. And we have this vaccination that's coming through, but there's already been some warnings about, if you have certain types of autoimmune diseases, if you get anaphylaxis in any form, things like that. And, most of us and most people that have chronic illnesses just kind of look at it and go, but we know that other vaccines are coming around. But the more anybody waits and worries, and there's all this uncertainty, what do you do? I mean, when you have an autoimmune disease, you're kind of, that things will be treated and you will be treated a little bit differently. And part of that is because nobody can see that you're sick anyway. And so they just assume that you're not. But when getting any type of new vaccination or treatment or anything like that, there's always little things that come up all the time. So how do you keep up your mental health while you're dealing with both mental and physical abnormalities? For most people dealing with a chronic illness, most of us are usually over prepared for the worst case scenario, and you plan ahead for your what ifs. What if I go on a trip and I have to stay an extra day? What if my car gets stuck? What if, so we tend to over prepare a little bit. But this is way beyond that. This is not something that anybody could have prepared for, especially if you've got an extra little thing on the side. So, when you feel worse physically, and that does happen, then your mental health starts to go down too. And the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is start breathing. Yep. And doing your daily meditations. But it's not just that. And I will always tell you to do those things first because, yeah, it's who I am. And like I've spoke out before, that when you start feeling a lot of times when your mental and physical both start to like tag team you, you can start to feel little anxiety attacks and things like that. So, we've talked about before, the best thing you can do is just stop and get yourself out of that and slow, deep breathing. And that, remember, that's not up here. That's way down here where you can't see me with my hand on my belly. And that's where you need to breathe from. Because if you breathe up here and you're having a panic attack, your lungs are not going to be able to get the air that they need to slow your heart down. So always remember, if you can start to feel it coming, and if you have a chronic illness, you're pretty in tune with what your body's doing. It still, gives you little surprises every once in a while, but your body better than anyone else. And if you start to feel that little, anxiety attack coming, stop everything and just breathe. But the other things that I'm going to tell you to do, and this is so important, is to continue taking your medication on schedule. Now is not the time to, decide to put that off. Work with your healthcare providers, call around, make sure that you can get things delivered, make sure your refills are up to date. Whatever supplies that you need, always make sure that you have everything that you could possibly need. And a lot of places now, from pharmacies, grocery stores, and food, are doing deliveries. Some of them are even doing free deliveries, which is fabulous. So don't assume that you have to leave to get things delivered. Just check around. If you really need something badly and you're in a place that maybe doesn't deliver, maybe you have a friend that you can send to go pick stuff up that may be less autoimmune deficient than you are. Because when you have some sort of chronic or autoimmune deficiency, you're actually more at risk of catching anything. So if you don't have a place that can deliver, ask around. Maybe you do have a neighbor who has, a niece or nephew or them that can go pick things up. Maintain your regularly scheduled appointments. Part of the problem is that a lot of clinics aren't open right now. So that does make it a little bit harder. But see if they have telehealth. A lot of that has been happening lately, where you can actually see them and talk to them. And it's not like being there face to face, but it's the next best thing. A lot of appointments where you have to be face to face. Let's say you have to go to an eye doctor or a dentist or something like that. You might want to reschedule those. Unless it's really super important, because those are actually things that you can't do by telehealth. But seeing your doctor or seeing your mental health professional, these are things that you can do online and will also save you from having to go out. This one is super important. Keep to your routine. We all have a routine. You may not have it written down, but by now you have your routine. When you get up, what you do, and there are little variations, but, and I know that it's hard, but if you keep that routine going, when things start to go back to normal, whatever that may be, and we can go out more, then it won't be so hard to go back into that. I know several people that, although they're working from home and they could kind of reset their schedule a little bit, they still make sure that they get up at the same time and they follow that set routine, because they know that when they can go back into their offices, you want to keep your body on a schedule. Um, and this is important, especially for those with a chronic illness, because sometimes we have specific times where you have to take this medication. And now is not the time to be sloppy. It's not. This is a big one for me. Stay hydrated. Yes, it's really easy to forget to drink fluids. It you wouldn't think so, but it totally is, especially water. You got to make sure that you're drinking that water, because that's what it's going to take to go through your body and rehydrate things. Now, this is one of the hardest things for me because I am a major coffee drinker. Anybody that knows me, major coffee drinker. So adding in water was really hard. So I made a deal with myself. For every coffee, I have to drink this much water. And I'm trying to not drink caffeine after a specific time. Easier said than done for some. And that's because caffeine is addictive. And whether you drink coffee or you drink soda of any kind, it's addictive. And you start to get the little caffeine headache. So if you're not used to adding water to your diet, start slow, because you're going to have withdrawals just like anything else. When you take something out of your normal diet, whether it's caffeine, sugar, whatever it might be, your body will start craving it more. So, as important as it is to stay hydrated, you also have to make sure that, yeah, if you're not used to it, you can't all of a sudden going from drinking coffee or soda all day to just drinking water all day. And I'm sure that the people that you live with will thank me for saying, take it slow and cut it off. But you can do it. It's okay. It's not easy, but I know major coffee drinkers, even that maybe drink more than I do, that have started adding water. So I'm so happy about that. And, you know, it's okay for you. I always tell you, know your body. So stay aware of what your illness is doing. You know, any time of focus, just kind of notice maybe and go, okay, this is like the third day in a row that this has happened. Um, and kind of keep track of that, because that may be something that you actually want to talk to your doctor about, whether it's a new symptom or things like that. But if you're feeling off that day and you're just feeling like, shut off the world for a while, say something. Remember? Say something. It's okay. Your health, whether it's mental or physical, is the most important thing for you. It's the absolute. If you're having a flare or a strange symptom from maybe something you hadn't eaten before that's causing some weird reactions, keep track of those things to report to your doctor. He may need to adjust things. It's all about keeping up with the mental and the physical. I know. Usually I just tell you that you need to keep your mental health up and ready and going. And now I'm telling you that you also need to keep your physical health um going, and the two work together. Like I said, the worst thing that can happen during a day is if your mental and physical attributes that are going on in your body are kind of tag teaming you, and you know it's it make your life easier. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting down to. Okay. Stick to what you do, stick to what you know, and we'll be okay to get on, get a moving. If you can, keep stretching, stretch things out, take short walks if you can. And when I say that, short walks could be put on, your mask and a jacket, and depending on your weather, and just walk around the block once, you know, do some stretching, any type of exercise that you may like to do. You also know what your body needs. If you're prone to muscle aches, the best thing you can do is to stretch, because it will actually keep the lactic acid in your muscles fluid, and it'll help prevent cramping. It's nice to have formerly been a massage therapist. I know how all that works. So, the best thing is stretch. And if you feel like maybe during the day, there's no rule that says you can only stretch in the morning or before you go to bed. There are times that I have to get up, because I tell everybody that, you got to get up and move and, get out of the moment of what you're going through. And I'll just walk around and stretch out. It looks weird. And yes, my animals all look at me like, what are you doing? But that's all right, because I know that what I'm doing is for the best for me. So no heavy exercise routine. This is not the time to take up, Zumba or weightlifting or anything. Just start slow. I'm sure that, your physician or physician's assistant or whoever you deal with have given you pages and pages of stretches that you can do to help you out. They love doing that. You know what? Look at them. Sometimes, and you don't even have to get on the floor to do these exercises. We're talking sit in a chair, you can do them. Lean up against the wall, you can do them. Just get your limbs moving. That's the whole thing. Like when I start my show, and it's like the wiggle your toes in your butt, and what you're doing is, working those muscles and keeping all that fluid and stuff going. So very, very important. You can do this. You can do this. The big thing though is that if you decide not to, which I would never recommend to anyone, you also have to take responsibility for your decisions. If your actions make things worse, then that was a decision that you made. You chose not to do those. So if you decide to give up, well, you know what? You're not going to give up. So we don't even need to go down that aisle. There's no giving up here. Use that self-determination. The self-determination. Use it in everything you do. And if that means that you get up out of bed and your body sounds like Rice Krispies and all of a sudden you've aged about 90 years, it's okay. Get up and slowly, even while you're sitting on the edge of the bed, start moving your toes, start moving your fingers, start kind of moving your shoulders. There are ways to do this. You have it in you to be self-determined. You have that determination you have. So if you can do it for something that you care a lot about, then, you should be the one that you care the most about. So use that. When I give you little things to do with our Weeble Kung Fu, and I give you things that I tell you to put in your toolbox, these are there when you need them, when you need to take control of your situation, when you need to take control of both your mental and your physical health. And they go together. And no, it's not going to be easy. Nothing's ever easy. But you already know that. Depending on how long that you've been living with this and doing this, and even if it's just something where they say it's minor, well, a minor chronic illness can turn to a major chronic illness really easily. And that comes from not listening or not doing the little stuff that you need to do. The stretching, the eating right, the, walking if you can, maintaining your appointments, maintaining your medication, maintaining that goes back to your routine. Keep with your routine. Now is not the time to be sliding, but now is the easiest time to be sliding. For some, they've been home and not barely left, if they have left, for months and months. And the longer, if you decide to become a couch potato and, Netflix all day long, think about how you feel when you get off the couch or out of your chair or wherever you sit. How bad is even if you don't have a chronic illness, after you've been sitting for a while, think of what it takes for you to get up. Nobody wants to feel like that. Believe me, nobody wants to feel like that. So if you have, a chronic illness of any kind, you definitely know what that feels like. For some, it's 10 minutes is how long you can sit. Some, it's hours and hours, but that goes back to knowing your body and not letting things slide. If you need to set timers, just to remind yourself, whether you're working from home or you're on leave or whatever your situation is, set timers in your phone, and make sure that when you do that, like if it's a medication, make it have one tone, because when you set your alarms, you get little tones. So then you'll get to know that when you hear a tone, then that's the time to take a certain dose of whatever it is. Or you hear another tone and that reminds you, I need to go out, or I need to walk around, or I just need to get up and stretch. Go get a drink of water. You can do it all, you get up, make a lap around the house, maybe go to the bathroom and get a drink of water, stretch, and then go back. It doesn't take that long. We're talking like 5 minutes. But it's the difference between feeling worse than you need to or better than you expected to. And we would all like to feel better than we expect rather than worse than we ever thought we could. Another good thing to do, is keep doing your meditations. And your meditations and your mindfulness and the focusing on you, these are things that are important for your mental health. And like I said, the two work together. So if you can keep your mental health okay, then, that'll also help with your physical health. If you're sad and depressed, then you don't want to get up. You just don't. And you don't want to eat right. And you definitely don't want to exercise. So by doing your little meditations, your affirmations, writing the affirmation that you're going to do 3, 6, and 9. Remember that one? If not, go back a few episodes, which you can always find, Facebook and on YouTube. Go back a few episodes and, catch up and find out about the different ways that we've talked about your affirmations. it's always good to say nice things about yourself. I know that sounds weird. And some people go, if I say nice things about myself, then obviously that means I have a gigantic ego. No, it doesn't. It just means that you finally realized how important you are to you. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? By just saying these little things like, today I'm going to be amazing. And then change that to, today I'm amazing. Never put little clarifiers in there. Today, if I feel okay, then I'm going to do this. No. Today, I'm doing this. It's so important that when you give yourself these affirmations, that it's short, sweet, to the point. No clarification. None at all. Don't use the word, but I need to da da da. No, sorry. Just do it. That's what I said. Do a timer, put affirmations right there on your bathroom sink or your refrigerator, wherever you tend to be going, because we need to keep that mental health and your relaxation. And, we need to keep that going. It goes back a little bit to the part where I said, if you feel better mentally, you're going to feel better, physically too. One of the things that we do around here is, like, even if you don't go outside and do a whole lot and you need to figure out something to do to relax. Before, I would say if you were standing in line, wear that set of headphones and listen to, a book on tape, music, something like that. Well, if you're at home, you can still listen to a book on tape and or music or whatever. But if you're gonna do that, then give yourself permission. I know that's weird to say that you have to give yourself permission, but give yourself permission to relax. Give yourself permission to just become part of the story. Become part of it. We've all done that. Watching a movie, all of a sudden you are so totally engrossed in it that you don't hear anything else around you. We've listened to books and read books that you just dive into and you don't hear anything around you. It's just you and you're totally in there. Those are times that you're giving yourself a break. You're getting yourself out of the moment that may be, things are getting a little stressy. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, this is what you do. I love that. And one of the things that we like to do is, turn on your music and dance around the house. Yes, it's great exercise. It's fun. Listen to the music that you want to listen to. And like they say, dance like you're a toddler. And it's not dance like no one's watching, but dance like you don't care. Little kids are great with this. They hear music, they just start dancing. They can be in a grocery store. If they hear a song that they like, they're going to start going. We've danced around the house doing chores. It's like, okay, I can dance to the washing machine. I can dance to the sink to do dishes. Just do little things like that make you smile, that make you happy. We're about, if you're one of those people that live alone that I worry the most about, I want you to be able to do things that make you smile. And if dancing around the house like a crazy person, I know it makes me smile, makes me laugh. I'm lucky enough to live with somebody that also likes to dance around the house and make each other smile, because then we start making up dance moves. it's something that nobody should ever see. So in that case, it should be a dance like you hope nobody's watching. But the next part is nourishing your soul. And by nourishing your soul, that also has to do with, the meditations and the mindfulness and finding that place. Nourishing your soul is finding your place in the book, finding your place in the movie, finding a quiet spot that you can go in your head whenever you need to. I have a quiet little spot in my brain, in my subconscious, and I can get there. It's, that's why I teach and I recommend self-hypnosis. It's not something you can get stuck in. It's not something overly strange. It's just getting yourself into a really relaxed mindset fast and without needing somebody else. These are the important little things. I, come out here or come on here and give you things to add into your toolbox. And if you don't remember maybe what the 369 thing is, or the 54321, I know there's a lot of numbers on some of these. You can email me. I'm great with that. You can message me, all as well. And I can tell you which episode that you can go back and listen to. Like I said, these are all on my Facebook page. They're all on my YouTube. They're, as a podcast, if you just want to listen and you don't want to see me, okay. And a lot of times it's easier to just listen to somebody anyway. Then you can download these as a podcast, Hypno Fairy Godmother. It works out well. But that way you can listen to the things in your toolbox that you may have missed, like different ways of breathing or different ways of building up yourself and your self-esteem and your self-consciousness and growing that self-determination. These are things that we've covered that they're pretty important, and they're always there for review. My part of calling it Weeble Kung Fu is that if one thing doesn't work, then something else will. We don't give up. So, if you're doing a specific routine and it's making you stronger and it's making you feel better and you're getting more focused and all that, but then you realize that you're really bored of doing it, then put that back in the tool case, put it back in the toolbox, open another drawer, pull out something. Not everything has to be done every day, and they don't have to be done in a specific order. And if if I suggest that you do something that you absolutely are like, yeah, no, that's so not me, that's okay. Shut that drawer, put a little piece of tape over the top of it, and write, ain't gonna do it. Now, I would hope that the suggestions that I give you at least try, but I understand. And for people dealing with these extra issues, like the chronic health and the autoimmune thing, sometimes we're really picky, and sometimes you open up 4 or 5 drawers out of that toolbox and you're like, not today, not today, not today, but keep going. And if the best you can do is just sitting in a chair or on your couch and doing some really great deep breathing, then that's perfect and that's awesome. And that's your day today. You should never do anything that makes you feel worse. And some days it's all about, calling up the store and having them deliver, your meds, a couple groceries, make sure you throw in that, big old pint of ice cream that sometimes we just need to make it through the day. I'm fully in favor of that as long as you don't do it every single day. But there are things that you do to take care of yourself. We all have good and bad days. Remember, you're allowed to have bad days. I told you that from the beginning, and I'm sticking to it. If you have a bad day, then fine. If you live with people or someone, just walk through and go, I am really sorry. I am having a really bad day, and I'm going to pre-apologize for anything I might say or do, but today is not my day. And sometimes that means, go to a different room. I know people with chronic migraines, and sometimes all you want to do is sit in a quiet room that's dark and you want no noise around, and that's how you handle it. That is perfectly acceptable because you know your body and you know how to handle it. So when you're aware of what works for you, that's back to the, if you feel bad, say something. Now, if you're having one of those weeks, then I would suggest that it's a good time to maybe contact your doctor if you have one. There are people and places online that you can always talk to. Some you can do with telehealth, but there are free people online. They give you a number, you can call and you can talk to them. I'm always there, for whoever might need me, but there are groups that this is what they're there for. And it can get as light or as personal as you need. And they're not there to preach on you or give you advice or tell you what to do. They're just there to listen. And that's what we need a lot of the time. We just really, really need to have somebody to listen to. And, when you're super lucky, you have that person. But if you don't have that person, then check around. Pretty much every town, if not big city, and most of the time when you call, some are online, some you just call. So if you don't actually want to face somebody and you just want to talk to them, then you can call. They usually have 800 numbers. So you won't be charged. And that way, if you don't feel like you can face somebody, but you still, need to get all of that out, then you give them a call or call a friend. Sometimes, if you haven't heard from a friend in a while, just hearing a friendly voice can change your whole day. Just hearing somebody say, and there doesn't have to be a reason to call. That's the other cool thing. That you can call and catch up with somebody, and they may also need someone to talk to, and you don't call for any other reason than to just say hi and then see where the conversation goes. You never know. You could have given them a bigger smile than they gave you. We're all feeling a little isolated. And for some, there's more isolation than ever. So, if you've got that person, that friend that you can just call and say hi, that's going to make you smile. Remember, I always talk about doing, Zoom dinners where everybody's online and you're all watching and talking to each other and you're all eating from your house and you're basically all having dinner together. It's a lot of fun. I've done it. It's kind of one of those, it's kind of weird the first time you do it. And then you're like, oh my God, I get to connect. It's about connection. I get to connect with people. And whether you know them or not, sometimes there are groups online Facebook, wherever, where just meetups, where now instead of going out, you're actually meeting up online. And there are just thousands and thousands of groups that maybe have an interest that that you have. You'll be able to find a group and, log into one of their meetups. You'll get to talk to people that have the same interest as you, and you get to connect. And what that does is that once that makes you smile, then your mental health and your brain quits screaming, and you feel calm. And when you laugh or smile and you're feeling calmer, then there are things in your body that just start to relax, and it's a great chain reaction of happy. And I would suggest a chain reaction of happy for everybody. I have met some of the nicest people on groups, on meetup groups. And if you're like, I love this show more than anything, there is a show that I've been watching forever. And trust me, you can find a meetup group that of people that are just as fanatical as you. And whether it's a TV show or a sporting event or a sports team, flowers, gardening, I mean, whatever it may be, magnet fishing, who knows? But there are people out there that are just as in love with it as you are. So this is also a way to make other friends. When you're dealing with, to bring it back around for the last time, when you're dealing with a chronic illness, the most important thing is to also take care of your mental health. Because if you don't take care of yourself mentally, think of what that's going to do to you physically. Or think of it this way: when your body aches, whether you have something huge, some huge, chronic illness, or whether, sometimes you just have a flu. When your body is aching to any degree, that brings down your mental health. So because you don't feel good, and so you get cranky and whiny, and we all do it. And your physical health has now messed up your mental health. So the two, you got to keep them close to even. I do these every day. I stretch out. I keep up my mental, my meditations. Sometimes I have good days. Sometimes I have pretty bad days, as all of us do. So you're not alone. You're not alone. And we have the tools to keep things going, keep you moving forward. Remember, any step forward, no matter how tiny it is, still a step forward. We don't let things slide. We don't take even a quarter of an inch backwards. This is all about you taking care of you. Yes, you taking care of you. Keeping track of your mental state. Keeping track, if you live with people, keep track of their mental state too. If you notice that somebody's acting a little more erratic than usual, now's a good time to talk. And just don't go, wow, dude, what's up? No. What you need to do is just go, everything, are you, I've noticed you've been a little off. Do you need to talk? Because I'm here to listen. And that's here to listen, not to give advice. Just be a big ear, because we all need that sometimes. So I hope that some of these things helped. It's just basically, take care of yourself, keep your routine, keep your appointments. We know that as people with autoimmune diseases, that our lives are roller coasters anyway. And when this virus came out, we just ended up with higher highs and lower lows. But like any roller coaster, as you're going down that hill, raise up your arms and scream and wait for the next up. Because that's the fun part. So once again, I know we got this. Come on, I know we got this. And if you have any questions, anything you need to tell me, you can always message me, email me, hypnofairygodmother@yahoo.com. I will always be there and I will always answer your questions because that's what I do. And I will always be a proponent for your mental health because I love that. I love that some of you use what I tell you and it makes you feel better, and that makes me feel better. So every day, take a note of your mental state, make an appointment online if you really need to, whether it's with me or any other mental health professional. I work with people one-on-one, and sometimes I work with people in groups. So comments, messages, any of that, always remember to smile because people will wonder what you're up to. One last time, take that nice, fabulous deep breath. Exhale with a smile. Please, please, please have a wonderful week. Tell your friends about me and so they can tune in too. And I will see you next week. Bye now.
You're listening to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show with Shirley Yance, only on LA Talk Radio.